She said it was just a friend, and I found out the truth too late. But I never saw it coming. My name is Noah Reynolds. I'm 40 years old, living in New York City. For the past 12 years, I've worked as a senior data analyst at a financial firm in Manhattan. My world was made of numbers, order, and logic. At least, that's what I thought kept things safe. I married Claire 6 years ago. We met at a fundraiser in Brooklyn. She was radiant, passionate, kind. She was a doctor, always helping others. I thought we were unbreakable. But love doesn't always crumble in loud crashes. Sometimes it fades. One unread message at a time. One cold look, one quiet excuse. It began with a simple lie. She said she was going to a medical conference in Boston. 3 days, she said. I didn't question it. Why would I? She'd traveled before. This was routine. But things had already started to change. She'd been different for weeks, distant, distracted. Her phone never left her side. The way she smiled, it wasn't the same. Still, I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Marriage is about trust, right? So I trusted her. I trusted her when she kissed me goodbye at the train station, when she said, "I'll call you every night." But she didn't call. Not the first night, not the second. And on the third night, I found out everything. The phone rang. It was Rachel, Claire's best friend. Her voice trembled. "Noah, I thought you should know." I remember freezing in place. I was holding a cup of coffee, and suddenly, it felt like glass in my hands. She said Claire wasn't in Boston. She'd seen her at a restaurant in Soho with a man, holding hands. I thought it was her brother at first, Rachel said. But they kissed. I couldn't breathe. I thanked Rachel and hung up. Then I opened my laptop and searched her phone location. We had shared it, for safety, we used to say. And there it was. Claire's phone, not in Boston, in New York, 2 miles from our apartment. I stared at the map, my mind spinning, all the late shifts, the overtime, the weekends away. I'd accepted them all, believed every story. And now, they unraveled in seconds. I didn't call her. I didn't text. Instead, I waited. She walked through the door at 6:42 p.m., wearing the same navy coat I bought her last Christmas. I asked one question. "How was the conference?" She hesitated, then smiled. "So boring," she said. "Lectures all day." I nodded slowly, then walked to the living room and showed her my phone, her location, her lie. And still, she denied it. "Noah, that must be a glitch. I swear, But I didn't want excuses. I wanted the truth. I deserved the truth. She didn't confess that night. Not fully. Only admitted to some distance between us. That she was confused. That she needed time. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. I just listened. And I watched. Over the next few days, she kept up the lie. Said she was staying with a colleague for a project. Said she needed space to think. But I wasn't idle. While she played her games, I did my homework. I contacted a friend, David, an IT guy I'd helped with a job reference last year. Quiet, smart, and very discreet. With his help, I restored deleted messages from Claire's phone backup. Chats, photos, locations, everything she thought she'd hidden. And what I found, it broke me, but it also woke me up. They weren't just having an affair, they were planning a life together, discussing vacation homes, baby names. She wasn't confused. She was preparing her exit, carefully, strategically. And I had a choice. Let her walk away with everything, or show her who she had underestimated. So I made a plan. The next morning, I woke up early. Not because I had work, but because my mind was racing. I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee, staring at the wall, thinking, planning, measuring every step. Claire didn't know that I had access to her cloud backup. Didn't know I'd seen the photos of her and Mark at a cabin upstate, in our car. I forwarded those images to my private email, created a digital folder titled Contingency, labeled everything, time, date, GPS. David helped me even further. We linked the metadata from her photos with the IP addresses from their messages. It was airtight. But I didn't just want revenge. I wanted to regain control. On my terms, with grace, with precision. So I called a lawyer, Mara Jennings, a bulldog in court with a reputation for uncovering hidden assets. She looked over everything. The account transfers, the deleted messages, the forged vacation plans. You have enough to flip the whole narrative, she said. If you want out, we go now. Quick and clean, but if you want leverage, I can build you a wall. I chose the wall. Because Claire hadn't just lied. She'd tried to manipulate the truth and paint herself as the victim. But now I had the proof. That behind her soft voice and empty excuses was calculation, cold and selfish. I began preparing quietly, canceled a joint credit card, opened a new personal account, started rerouting my salary, a Mopro. Step by step, I was erasing the path she thought she controlled and reclaiming my own. By the end of that week, I had compiled everything. Files, screenshots, bank statements, even a voice memo Claire accidentally left running during a phone call with Mark. They talked about me, about my routines, about how easy it was to keep me distracted. I played that audio more times than I care to admit, not because I needed more proof, but because it reminded me of how far I'd let things slide. I met with Mara again on a rainy Thursday. She brought coffee, a yellow notepad, and eyes that didn't blink. Noah, she said, you have two options. Set the record straight privately, or go public. Going public meant court, depositions, exposing Claire's affair to everyone, family, friends, co-workers, dragging it all out into the open. But going private meant controlling the terms, keeping our dignity, keeping my power. I chose the second. Not because I was afraid of a fight, but because I didn't want to be defined by her mistakes. We drafted a proposal, property division, financial restitution, and a mutual no-contact clause. I'd walk away with everything I built. She'd walk away with nothing extra. Mara said, send it Monday. Let the weekend pass. Let her feel the silence. So I waited, played the part, had dinner with Claire on Friday night like nothing had changed. She smiled across the table. She had no idea what was coming. I wasn't angry anymore, just focused and very, very ready. Monday morning came, and I hit send. The email included everything, my proposal, the documentation, the consequences if she refused. No threats, no insults, just the truth. At 10:42 a.m., Claire replied. Her message was short, 3 words. Can we talk? We met that evening in Central Park. It was cold. She wore the scarf I bought her last Christmas. Funny how people hold on to small comforts, even when everything else is falling apart. "Noah," she started. "I didn't mean for this to happen." I stayed silent, not out of anger, just to let her speak. It was just, I felt alone. "You were always working, always focused on something else." I nodded. And then I calmly pulled out the voice memo. I hit play. Her face changed. The color drained. She knew exactly what it was. "I'm not here for apologies," I said. "I'm here for closure." Claire blinked, then whispered, "You recorded me?" I met her eyes. "You lied to me. You emptied our account. You planned to leave me in the dark." That recording? That was me protecting myself. She didn't argue. She just said, "Okay, I'll sign." That was it. No drama, no redemption arc, just a quiet end to a loud betrayal. I left the park feeling not victorious, but lighter. Like something heavy had finally been lifted from my chest. The days that followed were strangely quiet. Emails exchanged between lawyers, documents to sign, bank accounts to close. Claire didn't resist. She didn't argue. She simply agreed to the terms. And maybe that told me everything I needed to know. We sold the apartment, split the savings. She took the SUV. I kept the dog and my dignity. But what I truly gained was clarity. Freedom. A clean slate. I started going back to the gym. Reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. Cooked dinner for myself. Watched sunsets from my own balcony without feeling like I was waiting for someone who'd never come home. I poured myself into work again. But this time, with real purpose. Not to escape pain, but to build something new. And people noticed. My performance improved. I was more focused, sharper. My manager called me in one Friday afternoon, offered me a lead role on a high-stakes project, said I had the calm strength they needed. 2 months later, I had a new office, a better salary, and more importantly, a sense of self I hadn't felt in years. Then, something unexpected happened. An email arrived. Subject line, "Thank you for speaking up." No sender name I recognized. But the message was from a colleague, someone who'd watched everything quietly, who had her own story of betrayal and felt empowered by mine. She said my quiet strength gave her the courage to leave her toxic partner, to choose herself. And in that moment, I realized something. My pain hadn't just served me. It had created a ripple. Sometimes, standing up for yourself is the spark someone else needs. When I finally gathered every piece of evidence, emails, screenshots, voice recordings, even footage from the security camera outside our apartment building showing her and Liam entering together, I knew it was time. I didn't explode with rage. I didn't confront her in a screaming match. I simply printed out the files, placed them in a neat folder, and left it on the kitchen table before going to work. No note, no explanation. She called me 5 times that morning. I didn't answer. By the time I returned home, she was gone. Her closet was half empty, the apartment silent. I sat on the couch and just breathed. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, my chest didn't feel so tight. The truth was out, and I wasn't broken. I was free. A month later, the divorce papers came, filed on her end, citing irreconcilable differences. I signed them without hesitation. 3 months after that, I moved to a new apartment overlooking the Hudson River. Quiet, simple, mine. I took up running again, started photographing cityscapes at sunrise, something I hadn't done since college. I started to feel like myself again. And Liam lost his job at the firm not long after. Turns out his pattern of behavior wasn't just limited to my wife. Funny how people like that eventually expose themselves, with or without help. To anyone going through something similar, let me say this: you are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not alone. Sometimes the people who claim to love you will lie to your face, make you question your sanity. But don't let that darkness define you. Document, protect yourself, trust your instincts. And when the time comes, don't beg for the truth. Expose it. I didn't just survive this. I became stronger, wiser, and finally, at peace. If you've ever been through something like this, or you're going through it now, drop your story in the comments. You never know who you might help, just by speaking your truth.